This video that Varista and I are doing, we're pretty seasoned GameCube players. We just wanted to make a tier list of all of the available GameCube quests that are on Schthack. There's like 130 of them that you can play, so we decided to try to condense all of them down to a clean list so that other players know kind of what to go for if they want to be a lot more efficient. Some of the criteria that we did for ranking these was if it had a lot of monsters, if it was in a replayable format, if the quest was well designed, or if it had unique mechanics. Basically, just a quest that's worth your time compared to some other ones. Obviously, there's going to be some quests that are more recent that are going to be very well, but you may be surprised by some of my own personal thoughts on some from Sega's, because it's not dead in the water, new quests all the way every time. Anything you want to add, Verista?
I think the only thing that I want to say is that even though we put a tier list up and like we have different rankings, the rankings themselves aren't necessarily us saying that the quest is bad. It's just us saying that the quest isn't on the same sort of level as another quest is. If a quest is bad, we'll pretty much say outright that it sucks. And if you don't agree with us, that's fine. And we're also not saying that this is a definitive tier list. It's just two people that have played this game a long time. Take that for what you will, you know. So don't get mad if we say that your favorite quest is on a low ranking because we may not really like it that much.
Alright, we'll go try to go in order in the way that they are. First off, there's Sugoroku. For anyone who hasn't played this, it kind of plays like a board game. So it's not really a hunting kind of quest, but it is definitely good if you want to have a good night out with your boys. I would definitely try it out.
I would agree that this is a drunk evenings quest. Oh, and by the way, just because do it for the lore is lower than drunk evenings, it doesn't necessarily mean that do it for the lore is considered to be the worst ranking out of the two. I would actually say drunk evenings is probably the worst.
Yeah,
Do,
there is
do it
plenty
for
of
the lore is
quests,
definitely
especially
better.
from Sega's side, where lore plays a big part in the quest itself, more so the story writing. It may have some value outside of lore, but most of these quests are designed for either playing it once or twice just to get a recatch on the story, or just to like see where quest design has come either from or towards. It's mostly the catch-all of ones that just don't fit in the other categories. And this is precisely where we're going to be putting 7-4 Central Control, because this is just a straightforward Central Control area quest that has only a couple of the mini-bosses and is pretty bare bones. 7-4 is one of the Blue Burst government quests ported, so it is mostly designed for solo play. It's not the greatest, and it's a quick CCA quest. That's about the best thing you can get out of it.
Yeah, it's basically like if the government quests were basically designed for Blueburst to be like what offline play would be like. Since Blueburst can't go offline, it's basically just the equivalent of a one-player mode offline CCA. It's like not really meant as much else. And it just so happens that 7-4 just happens to just not be the greatest like route or like have like the most mini bosses or whatever. You know, if it had more mini bosses than it did, it probably might be higher. But
And there are plenty of other ones that do that. Wink,
yeah,
wink, nudge, nudge, maximum
yeah,
attack S.
yeah. Max Attack S is gonna be great.
Yeah, you don't want to play that quest. 2-3, the mutation. This one actually is pretty decent because it has good caves waves. The only thing holding it back is towards the end in Caves 3 is when you have a little time section. It's not the greatest difficulty, but it definitely is one of those government quests that just doesn't
Yeah,
offer the best.
I think it easily hits the it exists category. I mean, it's not. It's like slightly above average for government quest, right? And like government quests are basically just free roams, so you can kind of like expect that if a government quest is above average, that it is most likely just going to be an it exists sort of thing.
Hmm?
There's only a couple government quests that are above it exists.
Okay, next quest on here is made by Varista. This one is called the Gauntlet. It's a caves and ruins area quest. This one came at a pretty good time where some people on Gamecube wanted to start hunting Povoli slimes. Before this quest, the only two quests that really offered this was Offline Lionel's Letter and TTF, which had the 4 in Caves 3. This quest has like probably 30 slimes in it. It's pretty good for hunting in caves. Some of the waves have some great density. It's just a little non-linear. So if you're trying to get as much done for one person as possible, it's not going to be the greatest. But it is definitely in the pretty good tier because of the hunting potential. A lot of people have been playing this since
yeah.
release.
Also, it also has a lot of nano dragons too. It's something to know is it does have a lot of nano dragons. Like, I guess like unintentionally, Gauntlet became really good for hunting like 3 very specific monsters. It became really good for hunting Crimson Assassins, nano dragons, and Puffuli slimes. Those are like the things that I guess kind of accidentally came out of it. And like you said, it's kind of a non-linear thing, and you only get to caves. You only get to hunt like the really. You only get to hunt the things of interest after you go through a somewhat reasonably length caves 1 section, where you pretty much don't get to hunt slimes at all. I didn't rank this as pretty good. I actually ranked it as an it exists at first, and then he mentioned the slimes, and then I kind of just was like, yeah, okay, yeah.
The next quest here is Labyrinthine Trial, and for those who have never played this quest, it's probably going to stay that way, because
It's terrible.
this quest is a giant puzzle box where you and your team have to work together.
At least random groups don't like
Its
working
two
together.
redeeming factors is that the map is very huge. Only a couple quests use this unique map layout, and it gives you one of the best items in PSO, the Hunter's Report F.
Yeah, this quest is easily a drunk evenings quest. I think that was I think that's kind of like a give. Like, I think this is kind of a given one, to be honest. Like, Labyrinth Trial is just so bad. I don't even know why it's even on the server, to be honest with
When I
you.
think of this quest, I get a headache. Okay.
Okay, we're moving on. This quest is terrible.
Beach Laughter is a reward quest similar to some other ones that we're going to go through. Because it's not really geared towards monsters, it's just a lore-based quest, so it's going to go in the do it for the lore section. It's used for maximum attack 1 and 2. After you get all the hearts, you get the 5 spheres.
I have this quest as a drunk evenings quest just because I figured it would be a quest that the kind of player would like a hard day's worth of hunting, and now they're drunk and they're just redeeming the rewards.
I mean, you could sing you could sing the rappy song in unison. We can all get in a Discord
Yeah,
call and do that.
yeah, we could do that. I mean, we might do it tonight too, just for the hell of it.
Yeah. This next one here was a Blue Burst ported quest. This one's actually a pretty big deal because only a couple people have cleared this quest on Ultimate, but it doesn't really exist as a hunting quest. It's more of a time attack one. Because of it, it's going to be put in the It Exists section because you're mostly just doing it to complete it, not really hunt from it, because you can play almost inconsistently on sometimes. On GameCube, the difficulty curve for it is much higher compared to Blue Burst, so you don't have as much free roaming capabilities.
Cow's Clock Challenge is still a really good quest. It provides a really good challenge as far as like all of the factors.
You most likely on GameCube are not going to go through the entire quest. You're going to be stuck in like Temple and Spaceship.
Yeah.
The next one is a unique quest where it kind of is a combination of other ones. It takes the last area of most of the Lost series and then just changes some monster waves and then adds a boss for it. It has an extra Ruins 1 section for whatever reason when it was designed, but this is a pretty all-encompassing Episode 1 quest. But because of some issues with it and how much you kind of have to go through, we're just going to put this in the It Exists category. Tyrell's Last Hope has also been around for a while, but it just doesn't hold up like some of the other ones that do similar things.
I actually agree with that. I don't think it's that great because it's basically just a bunch of free roams with bosses on the last areas. And then, like you said, that random ruins one section, it's kind of strange. I don't really know why they included the ruins one section
He probably wanted to include
when
Dell
every
servers.
other area is the last area. But then ruins just has ruins one in it for some reason. I mean, it has all the bosses, so I guess that's a plus. The primary reason why you would even want the bosses in general, I guess, is so you could either boss rush them like towards the future, or if you wanted to fight falls, you'd want to get to falls quickly so you could get red ring. But in this quest, you're not going to be getting to falls quickly. It's a pretty lengthy quest,
At
and
least
having
30
falls
minutes for
doesn't
sure.
make it that good. And I mean, even with like the day relay changes that we just did recently, with the boss drops being changed, even with that in mind, it's still not really that great.
Next one is Endless Nightmare 2. This is a Sega quest. This is probably one of the best quests you can have for like hunting Chainsawed and Red Sword if you're a Skylight ID. It's pretty bulky for the Volmer family, but it's not going to be the greatest caves quest out there. But I am putting it as pretty good because it's just a pretty good, straightforward Sega quest for caves.
You either want to hunt something really good, or you want to get a lot of EXP. And EN2 is just good for that.
The next one is a recent quest called VR Tower Beta. This one kind of has a similar organization as like East and West Tower, where you go through one area and then you go into a tower section. This one specifically goes through Spaceship and then it takes you into Tower. And it has some pretty unique mechanics on it. I would definitely go through it because it's pretty hilarious. It's not the greatest quest for hunting. It does have some cool stuff for it. So as a result, we're actually going to put this and do it for the lore because this is not a bad quest. And you may play it more than once because you like it.
I would put it in pretty good. I mean, not. I'm not saying that do it for the lore is a bad rating because I think that's just as good of a rating as pretty good. But I think it is a must play quest to play it for the first time and experience it, but it's not a great hunting quest. I think generally speaking, it's actually kind of average for Spaceship and Tower. It doesn't. The Spaceship section is short enough to be average, and then the Tower section is cool and has a lot of like neat effects to it. But it's also short enough to be just average.
Yeah, the main selling point here is that there's not really any quests that go through Spaceship and Tower. Not really many quests combine those two areas often. So it does have its value because of that. You may have a good time, and the waves in it are pretty good, but it definitely is not a very dense quest. You'll laugh when you play this quest, though. It's pretty cool.
It is. It's actually really nice for the first experience. Speaking of first experiences,
First experiences, man, straight
yeah.
up, seat of the heart. If we have to explain this one, this is definitely
You
a
probably
lore-based
never played
quest.
PSO. We have
Uh,
to explain this.
One of the most text-heavy quests in the entire game.
It is so long, too. I've only played this quest one time, and that I will never play it again because it is so long.
The selling point for Seat of the Heart is it was the first quest to have Tower, because it gave birth to the East Tower and West Tower, which are the last of Sega's low-level quests for that area.
It's a pretty good lore quest, but it's too long. And since it's so based in lore, it's not focused on killing a lot of enemies.
Next
But
one,
next one is a quest that has literally no lore whatsoever, but is pretty good for hunting things in forest if you
oh
really
yeah,
wanted, or
might
experience.
this is one of the better forest quests if you're trying to find stuff. It is littered with traps, and it does have a unique area. There is a spaceship in episode 1 that uses the battle enemies.
It doesn't actually have a lot of enemies outside of Mothmans. It has a lot of Mothmans. If you're gonna grind, if you wanted to grind EXP, this is the quest to do it, because it throws out like maybe like 30 waves in 2 rooms, and
all those monests spit out like
pretty much most of them are monests that spawn like 12 Mothmans every time. And I know a person on our server that took his QCast from like level 180 and got him to 200 in like 3 days spamming Force Offensive. Because it has Dragon too, so
yeah.
Force Offensive is pretty good for leveling. That's why I put it in pretty good at least. It's pretty
I
good
had
for
it
leveling.
in Drunk Evenings because this is not really a quest that you're gonna play.
It's actually kind of fair too. But I put it as pretty good just because it has a lot of experience really quickly.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to power level to 200, this would be the quest to do it in.
Yeah. It is one of the higher experience quests, but this quest will drain you, especially if you want to complete all of the stuff that it offers. That's why I put it in Drunk Evenings.
We'll leave it in Drunk Evenings for now.
Drunk Evenings is basically a combination of quests that are either so bad that you don't want to play them more than you have to, or it's so bad that you want to play it when you have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Forest Offensive is not a bad quest, first and foremost. It's just not something you're going to run very often. Same thing for this next one up here. If you thought Forest Offensive was bad, you got to see Mine Offensive. Oh my god, the traps
This one I'll legitimately say that I actually don't like. Mine's Offensive has pretty much just about the same amount of enemies, probably more in Mines, but the traps are just so... It's just... I hate it.
There is a lot.
It's
there is
just
some cool
annoying.
items that you can get at it, and it is definitely an experience, but this is not a quest that you're going to be getting a lot of bang for your buck for. It's just...
Force Offensive and Mines Offensive do not give you the feeling of FOMO, because there is no fear of missing out on these quests whatsoever. They are not... You won't have FOMO with these quests.
Pioneer Halloween, that's a lore
Do
quest.
it for the lore.
It's a holiday quest. It's mostly just for obtaining stuff. It exists, but
do it for the lore.
Lost Heat Sword, though. This one has a lot going for it because it is a Lost series quest. For those who don't know, a Lost series quest generally is going to use the entire map layout to offer as much as possible for you. This quest has a lot of monsters for the time it came out.
I will say 100% Lost Heat Sword is a must play for Forest. I think it's a must play because it's just so good. Like, I even still play this quest for Forest stuff. Even if I want a power level, like a low level, like if I just get the ult and I'm level 80, I'll play Lost Heat Sword and I'll spam it until I'm like level 120 because it's just so good. And it has Dragon too. As if you didn't have enough experience already. It has Dragon in it.
And you can bring all your friends for it.
Yeah. It's such a good quest. There's honestly nothing to dislike about it.
Yeah.
It's simple and it's easy, so maybe some people are like, whoa, it's just a stupid quest. But it's like, but it's so good. It offers you so much. It offers so much and it asks so little of you.
I personally have this in pretty good myself, simply because Forest isn't the best area for gains outside of a couple enemies.
I can see that.
Those enemies, though, are going to be much more abundant in some other quests. So, pretty much everything Varista said, this quest is by far minimum pretty good. You'll probably run this more than you can admit. This next quest is kind of unique.
Unlike today's rate, where you probably never played this quest before.
There is some cool stuff in this quest, but it is littered with traps, and it's not very straightforward at first playthrough. There are some cool mechanics in this. It's a combination caves and mines quest.
Despite the lore that it has and the cool stuff that it has, I put it in Drunk Evenings, because I would never play this quest if I was sober. Much like Garon's Treachery.
Yeah, that one's also essentially the same.
For the lore. They're basically the same thing.
You can get some like pretty easy lilies and milkweeks in here from what I remember, but towards the later half of the quests, you kind of have to deal with quest mechanics more than actually free roam hunting and having some fun. The premise, though, is definitely a script-heavy quest. This one's pretty unique. There's only a few other quests that are like this one. And as it is, because it's in Do It for the Lore, I definitely recommend playing this, especially with a party. Sweep Up 2.
Oh boy, here's this one. I actually have kind of a controversial opinion on this one.
Let's hear it.
I think that this is actually just kind of an It Exists quest. I don't really like Sweep Up 2. I don't.
Sweep Up 2 has that laser fence similar to like the 1C4 in the final area, where you need two people to kind of pass through early. It is a decent quest for Pan Arms and Milkweeks, but it is not the most replayable. I would put it in It Exists too, simply
That's
because
surprising.
there's some other quests that offer different stuff, and this whole series is pretty decent, but this is one of the lesser played ones.
Let me tell you something. Christmas Fiasco 1 is easily one of the best holiday quests that the server has.
Straight
This
up,
was
dude.
this was created for specifically for Christmas on Schthack, and it has some of the highest density monster counts across caves, mines, and ruins that you will ever see. Honestly, Christmas Fiasco 1 is so quick, but you get so much out of it for so little effort, and it's so easy to do. Like, I know when it first came out, it was probably really tough because people were like nobody had played it, and
The
but
ruins has the poison room at the end
yeah,
too, but don't let that
but
falter.
it's so fun. It's honestly such a legendary quest. If you are playing this at Christmas time, it is a must play because it's actually that good. But it's
Absolutely.
only available during Christmas, and it's just that good. Honestly, it's a must. You must play this quest.
Totally agree with that. The next quest is Tinkerbells Dog. For those who've never played it, it's a lore quest.
It's a lore
Straight and
quest.
forward. If you want to
Players,
see
move
Sonic,
on.
Knuckles, and Tails in PSO, this is the quest you play.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
To a
Claire's
quest
Deal. This
It's a
is
shop quest.
this is the shop quest. It has a couple enemies in it to go through as a requirement, but it's mostly a shop quest. This is not something you're gonna play a lot.
The episode 4 version is better too, by the way. For
There's some
episode 4
decent
version.
waves in here, but by far this is mostly a lore quest. You can probably spam this for like quick nanos early on, but
Yeah.
if you want a much more caves experience, this is not it.
You guys know this next one a lot better than I do, actually, so I'll let you do this one too.
This one, Twilight Sanctuary, was released recently on the Blueburst side. I had contacted the author about it, and we've been able to try it out and see how it performs. This is a very unique tower quest. Don't let the back image that I did for this as jungle fool you. This is a tower quest. It is a tower quest that has no epsilons. So as a result, you end up plowing through tower at a very fast rate with a lot of monsters, especially towards the end, and it can get pretty crazy. Blueburst's power creep makes this quest look like a joke, but if you play this on Cube, this quest is up there. Like, I'd put this in pretty good.
I've never played it, but I've only heard good things about it. Just as a point of reference. This next quest, though, I have played religiously.
Yes.
And I have videos on my YouTube channel on this quest where I'm hunting gold on Greeno. This is a must play. If you are a cube player and you don't use patches, much like me, this quest is your only option for consistently hunting Del Sabers on Greenel for gold. Some areas in Spaceship are about to not drop items. This quest does not have any of those areas. It is the only quest that has a decent amount of Del Sabers in a quick enough time.
I have this in pretty good, but I will agree with you on that because of the Del Sabers. Malicious Uprising 2 also has a lot of dub chicks. So if you're looking
Yes.
for episode 2 dub drops, this is like the one quest. You're not going to find an alternative.
If you're playing on the GameCube platform, but you're on like a Wii or you're patched, this quest becomes much less necessary because obviously you don't have to worry about the bug, so it would be like a pretty good. But I rate this as a must play for cube non-patched players because it's your only option other than Lost Right Raygun.
Uprising 5. Following from the same author, these quests are all essentially just mop-ups for episode 2. This one, of course, being for Tower. It does have some pretty good qualities for it. The pacing is pretty decent, and it does have a pretty good top floor for how short the quest is. You'll find quite a few epsilons in this, but don't let it fool you. This is not like an easy mode one. You can definitely get some mileage out of this with a party.
Tenebrous Woods, dude. Tenebrous Woods is a quest made by Kronos, who used to be a quest developer and a regular developer for Schthack Blueburst. This is a quest that has very high density forest and has a lot of hill delts, which is really good for hunting hill detours, obviously. But it also gives you a decent chunk of Meseta and is really quite impressively fun despite the fact that it's forest.
There
And
are some
is
nuances in it, but
yeah.
it is up there. Like, this is definitely one of those must
I
plays
put
for
this
forest
yeah.
drops.
I put this in must play only because of the fact that it was so good that we had to disable drops for it.
This is like the most dense forest quest we have, and it shows compared to some of these others. If not for the drop disables, Tyrell's Last Hope would be probably the next closest in terms of forest density. Tyrell's Last Hope and Tenebrous Woods are up there for a complete forest drop experience. Next up, we got Villainous Rift 1.
I hate this quest.
It's a temple quest. It uses some of those maze rooms. Its one selling point is it gives you lucky coins. That's kind of its one redeeming factor. But in terms of temple quests, there's a lot better out there. I have this in the It Exists category. Not much else to say on it. Next
VR
is VR Tower Alpha.
Oh, man.
This one I don't have a whole lot to say about. It is tower and temple. This is very unique in that because those two areas aren't often paired together in some quests. I'm putting it in the same category as VR Tower Beta. It doesn't have the same features as its brother or sister, but this exists as a crossover between temple and tower. The waves are good, but it is quite difficult if you're not prepared for it.
It's good, but it's just not. It's not one of the best, I should say.
Next, we have Schthack's Request.
This is a do it for the lore quest.
Definitely.
I have nothing more to say about it. Do it for the lore. Galdeval's Darkness is a drunk evenings quest.
For you, this quest I rate pretty high because it has Gale Griffin in it. If this quest did not have Gale Griffin, then this would be rated a lot lower than what I have, simply because getting to Gale Griffin takes a while in all forms right now.
I will put this as an It Exists. That's my highest rating.
I have this as pretty good myself. I've played this for a while, a lot. This is definitely one of my more well-run quests. And there is some jank in it because of Central Control Area. The mini-boss enemies are very well placed. And the Gale Griffin fight is both one of the fastest and gimmicked. It's dark. You have Jelen and Zalor if you don't have a force. You might be in for a bad time, but Gale Griffin is pretty easy otherwise. Next, the Hunter's Tutorial.
This is a Schthack specific quest that we just came out with. This quest was made by pheonixmog and Kayak, and it is a quest that teaches you how to play the game and tells you about the game itself and all of its aspects. If you want to learn how to play this game,
that's the one.
What this game is about and all of its modes and extras, this is the quest to do it. It is literally made to teach new players how to play the game. It is a do it for the lore, mostly because it is a tutorial
It's
and
not
because
meant
it
for
just
hunting.
yeah, it just tells you a lot about the game.
Next is
It is a
Central
do it for the
Dome
lore,
Fire Swirl.
which is another do it for the lore
Oh
quest.
yeah. I mean, if you want to hear Burning Rangers blasted on full volume, feel free to load this up.
And I don't know if you like Burning Rangers or not, but I sure as shit do.
And if you play a
So,
class that has techs, well, this is the biggest middle finger to you because you can't cast them in this.
unlike Central Dome Fire Swirl, A3 Purple Lamplight is a must play. Only because of Olga Flow. If it didn't have Olga Flow, this quest would be it exists. And that's it.
For me, this is an it exists simply because, sure, it's a Olga quest. The main selling point for Purple Lamplight is you can do this solo. Seabeds is one of the areas that has the double door switches that require two people. So it does have its value. I'm putting this in pretty good because of the solo factor.
It is a government quest. And it is literally just a free roam that you can do by yourself.
Just a
And
free seabed run.
unfortunately, right now, quests that are in Seabed that have an Olga Flow fight available is pretty small.
Pioneer Christmas. If you're catching a little pattern here, this is a lore quest.
This is a lore quest. Now, unlike Pioneer Christmas,
Ugh.
Lost Hell Palace is a Drunk Evenings quest. Because this quest is so bad. I would consider the Lost weapons generally to be pretty good, but Lost Hell Palace is so bad. It makes me angry, and I'm not even going to talk about it, and I'm not going to let you talk about it.
I played LHB like twice, and I had enough.
Den of the
Den
Damned
of the
is the next
Damned.
quest, and this is a pretty good quest.
I rate this as it exists. I made this quest. This is not a quest for your casual party. It is extremely dense and it is extremely difficult. You're not
This is
going to
true.
go through this on your first try. There is a lot to go through in this. It is definitely one of the most difficult quests that we offer, though. That is why it exists. Survey Corps 3.
You know, I just don't have the same opinion on random spawns as other people do. I say this with the utmost respect to Hysteria, because I love Hysteria and I love what he does, but random mobs does not make for a very consistent experience.
No.
And
You could
therefore,
go
as a result, I would say that it is an It Exists quest. Specifically because it is so inconsistent.
You can go through this multiple times.
It's a blast.
And have a pretty good time. But
Yeah.
then the next time you play it, whether it's with 2 players or 4 players, you might get the wave with the America rolls in it and then just have a party wipe because you weren't expecting it. The
Yeah.
waves in Survey Corps are randomized. These change every time you play this quest. And it's a unique feature.
That's why a lot of people like it. And I would never say that it's a bad feature, but it's not something that particularly adds anything to the quest as far as it goes to being like a good quest to play constantly. You know? And like I said, I don't mean to disrespect him because that's not how I'm meaning it at all. But
Yeah. Hysteria did a lot of work on that series for what we do have right now. It has a lot to offer, but the inconsistency means that you're never going to really have the same experience every time. And while that is unique, there is issues with that. But by far, don't think because it exists doesn't mean you shouldn't play it. You just
You
may
should.
not have the same experience as all of us have. This one coming up is a very, very popular quest. Back when Lost Devil Scepter came out, this was one of the hardest quests available. It was very long. It had a lot of interesting waves. It has Gale Griffin. Those are its redeeming qualities. There's a lot of enemies packed into this. It's a Lost series, so you can kind of get an idea that it's going to use most of the map. I
It's pretty
personally,
simple.
I personally put this in must play from a historical standpoint. This quest is heavy as it
It
can
is
get.
it is much like my opinion with Lost Heat Sword. I would put it in either must play or pretty good.
Next is a combination of quests. It's the Maximum Attack 4 Episode 1 routes. There's 3 different ones for this, A, B, and C. Each of them offers something different, but this is,
Only one of them has a boss.
yes. Hands down, though, this is a must-play series. A has a ton of enemies. B has some crazy mixed waves.
C has C
has
has
Dark Falls.
really C has Dark Falls. Caves you get really good Lily spawns, really good Crimson Assassin spawns, a decent amount of Nano Dragons. In Mines you get really good Cannabins and Canines. Get some good Baranzas, some good Sinnohs, and Ruins you get some good Bringers. Even some good Sorks in some cases. It's just good. And with C, you get a Dark Falls fight that has the ability to drop Red Ring, despite what some people might believe on Schthack. It actually can drop Red Ring. No pun intended. At every stage of this quest, there's something to like.
Next is Max Attack 1. This quest is kind of an oddball because it's required for Beach Laughter, which we had talked about already, but it doesn't offer the greatest experience. If you're solo, you can't kill every enemy. From the Sega vanilla version, there have been changes on servers for this quest to allow you to be a lot more open to get everything. This quest also has a lot of homogeneous waves. You're not really going to find many waves where there's a whole bunch of different things. So it's pretty good for hunting, but you also have to sit through the full 30 minutes if you want to get your tickets for Beach Laughter. So it exists for me.
It does, in fact, exist. And the missing maracas is a do it for the lore quest.
Oh yeah,
Wouldn't you know it?
who'd have thought? There's some
Now,
cool stuff in there, but
there is, but this segues perfectly into one of the most historic quests ever created for this game. Towards the Future
oh man.
was, and will always be a must-play quest. It is the original boss rush. One floor, the final floor for the areas, and then the boss of the area. And it is the most spammed, the most well-known quest, the most played. It is just all around so amazing, and it is disabled on Schthack. On both of our versions, on both Bluebirds and GameCube, it is disabled on both of them for drops because it is that good. It is spammed so much. And I don't really have anything else to say about that.
Same. Gallon Shop, oh man.
Go
If
for
you
the
don't know
lore.
this quest, I'm sorry. This is the lore quest. There's a lot of shops. There's a lot of things you can do with this. And pretty much it. The next
Versus
one,
Fiasco 2
this is
as a
one of my
must play.
favorites. That's a must play. It
It's basically the
has
same as Christmas Fiasco 1. It's another seasonal quest, but it's episode 2. It has good spaceships. It has good CCA. And it is probably one of the best quests.
this is another, of course, a holiday quest. You want to play this quest if you have any opportunity to. If you aren't, you're missing out. There's so much you can get from this. And it's pretty difficult too. This is up there in terms of
Yeah.
difficulty.
It's difficult enough to be warranted as a tough TA quest.
Fragments of a Memory.
This one I feel like isn't played a lot. I feel like it's not. I don't see a lot of people playing Fragments of a Memory,
Nowadays,
but it's
yeah.
actually pretty fun.
This is a definitive ruins quest. This is the number one place you want to go if you want bull claws.
For those insane 1 out of 300,000 bow claw drops.
There is a catch though with this quest in that the third area has a very strict mechanic where it boots you out of the area if you don't follow directions.
Yeah.
This is what's really holding it back from being something that you would just play completely. But most of the time, you're going to be playing this for 9 times out of 10 Ruins 1. But Ruins
Yeah.
2 also still has plenty of bull claws with the addition of gunners and bringers. This is a Ruins quest, hands down. If you
It's
have
a
anything to get from there, this is it.
yeah, it's a Ruins 1 quest for sure. It's got a decent amount of sorks in it too.
West Tower, this one's going to be pretty straightforward for me. This is an It Exists quest. It was
Yes.
Sega's third tower quest. It uses seabed and tower. And even though it has some more enemies than East Tower, it's actually played less because it doesn't have as much as others.
And it also doesn't help that these quests are just mule quests for getting Gallon Shop to either add percentages to your weapons or add specials to your S ranks. And West Tower is one of those quests along with East Tower. You can get the data really early on in West Tower, and you can completely skip the entire tower section and not even bother with it. Most people just do that. At least with East Tower, you actually have to play all the way through the tower section in order to get the data. But West Tower, you can only have to do like maybe 5-10 minutes of seabed, and then you can completely skip the quest. But if you are playing them for the actual like quest itself and like the enemies, West Tower is decent. It's okay. I mean, you know.
Next one
Search
is
for
a
the
recent
survivors.
quest. Search for the survivors.
This is a
more
do
of
it for the lore.
Yeah, this is a lore quest. It's essentially similar to a government quest.
If this quest was not so lore based, it would be an It Exists.
It's
Yeah,
just not by
I don't want
design.
to. I don't want to paint the picture that I don't like it. It's pretty cool.
Deep Sea Rendezvous, same story. This is a shop quest. This is do it for the
Yes.
lore, hands down. Not much else to say.
Yes.
Sweep Up 8, though. This one is decent. There are some pretty good waves in here, and it uses Seabed Upper, which is a lot more aesthetically pleasing than lower because of the color palette. I have this as a pretty good. This is something that you could spam. It has plenty of non-squid enemies. You can get
I
quite a few
would
things from
agree
this.
that this is definitely pretty good. You have 2 Tenebris Woods, by the way.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna. Okay. Passion of the Blacksmith.
This is another pheonixmog quest. I'm kind of jaded towards Passion of the Blacksmith. I actually really like Passion of the Blacksmith. I think it's a very well designed quest. I would put it as pretty good. I don't think it's a must play, mostly because of the length, but it is pretty good and it is pretty challenging. It's a fun quest.
For the same reason as him, even though I made this, it's not a must play. This is a long quest. This is a pretty good team oriented quest. There's a lot of monsters in caves and mines. You got to be on your toes on this one.
It does have some difficult waves.
Lost Havoc Vulcan.
Oh.
You're going to be in this quest for at least an hour. This is the quest that was made because we didn't know Lost, but it's
Probably
a full,
more, too,
it's
if
a
you
full
forgot
Ruins
switches.
experience, though.
Yeah, considering that there are faster Ruins quests and give you the same, if not better, experience with a boss fight, it's okay. Strange Sighting. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
Before this quest got changed, how
This
it is
quest
now,
has been
it
changed.
exists. It exists, is how it is now.
This is
It's
like an
okay.
iconic quest. It has been changed.
To not have the guaranteed tour, which is primarily the reason why I put it in pretty good anyways.
It has a lot of rappies, though, and bears.
It
so
does.
It is pretty good for
But-
those. Being a
So does
forest
Tenebris
quest, though,
Woods.
you got to take a while to get to this. But I will agree with him on this one.
Sweep Up Operation number 1. It is a forest quest and it is an It Exists quest because of that reason.
It's just a straightforward Forest 2 run. There's not much else
much
to say
really to
about this
say.
one.
Mop Up Operation number 1, though. The first pretty bad quest. This quest is actually really bad, and I don't say that as a joke. It is really bad. If you had literally nothing else to do, Drunk Evenings is where I would do it.
I originally have this in pretty good. The main selling point being is the Tolaz, but Lost Heat Sword exists, so if you just want
Yeah,
Tolaz, you can go there. This is more
that
of an
and
It
Tenebrous
Exists
Woods.
quest. It also has to do with the fact that it's forest. Forest is not a place that you're going to stay
It's
very
also
long.
just Forest 1. If it was Forest 2, I would put it as It Exists.
Now,
But
Ghost Collective,
just
though.
Forest 1?
Ghost Collective is another randomized enemy wave from the same author as Survey Corps. The unique thing about this one, though, is this is actually a ruins quest that takes place in forest. It has the unique setting feature. This
It
does
is.
suffer from the same thing as Survey Corps does. Everything's
It
random.
exists. It is an It Exists quest. It's a must play for the first time, but it does just exist.
Mileage may vary in this, and just
Yeah.
like the other with the Survey Corps, it's not going to be the same experience for all of us. Reach for the
Reach
dream,
for
dude.
the dream. I'm reaching for the dream that this quest will be played at some point. It is a do it for the lore. Nothing more.
I would put this in drunk evenings, if not for the sake of all of the features that it has. But it is mostly a lore quest. You can kill some enemies in this, but this is not something that you are. No.
Yeah.
It's cool, but no.
Summer Fiasco 2, though, much like the Christmas Fiascos, is a must play for the summer.
But
In my
not
opinion.
every time.
But not every time. It is more likely in the pretty good category.
I would
Then
put
must
this.
You're gonna put it in It Exists, aren't you? You're gonna be a traitor.
No, I'm pretty sure because this quest.
For episode
this is
2?
a drunk evenings for me.
What? No.
It starts in tower, which is okay. Summer Fiasco 2 isolates all of the CCA areas separately. So while you are getting a full experience, this is probably one of the weakest holiday quests out there. It's cool to run.
Okay, yeah. See, the gig is up. Okay, this is actually a kind of a poor quest.
Yeah.
But
It's a holiday quest. So you're probably going to play it
not
when it's
great.
around, but
It's honestly not great.
you got to go through a lot to finish it and just to get to what you want. If you're going for tower, go ahead. It's the first area. You'll find enough enemies in there. But this is one of the weakest holiday quests that we have.
Pop-up Operation number 2 is an It Exists quest.
Yep.
Is
Not going to say much
just-
on that.
It is just Caves 1.
Doesn't even have pan arms, dude.
Blue Star Memories.
Blue Star Memories, that's a straight up lore quest.
Yeah, it is.
It ties in between episode 2 and 3. That's all you need to know. Forsaken Friends, though, let me tell you a little story here. This quest was one of the best for mines and ruins. This has a lot of monsters in it.
I remembered running this a lot in 2009, in 2010. This was my friend Spy's go-to Mines and Ruins quest for the longest time.
I have this
And-
rated as a must play. This is like a historic quest, and you need to play this at least once.
I would not argue with that. If I had to, I would put it in pretty good as the lowest rating. Much like Shift Serve Test 1 through 4.
The whole series, because
Here
you can't
is my
separate these.
personal hot take opinion on Shift Serve Test. Number 1 is just okay. Number 2 is just okay. Number 3 is pretty good. And number 4 is pretty good.
The end result of doing
Overall,
these
is
four quests is
overall it's
pretty
pretty
good.
good. It's pretty good. And introduces quest specific monster stats that get changed, and even have like some super monsters in there that have like super increased stats and stuff. And it's the first quest to have a ban list, which is something unique that no other quest has done yet. It has a ban list, so you can't use certain items in it. It's fun. It's worth playing.
It's great. This is
Yeah.
a historic moment with this series being released. Lost Ice Spinner though, this is
This
drunk
is a drunk
evenings.
evenings. Yeah.
This is long as caves can possibly get. This is as puzzling as caves can possibly get.
And it is as unrewarding as Caves has ever been.
Oh my god, dude.
The only thing that I think I've ever seen people do for with Lost Ice Spinner is the slimes in Caves 2. I'm
And you got to
pretty
get through
sure
caves
that's the
1 to
only
get to
thing.
those. So,
Yeah, and there's a pretty lengthy Caves 1 section prior, so
1-1 Planet Raggle is a pretty
do it for the
straightforward
lore.
quest. This is an It Exists quest simply because it's solo oriented. There's a lot of wolves in this quest if you're looking for stuff from wolves. Give it a try, see if you like
Bro,
it.
your cure freezes.
Ooh, look at this one here. Nebulous Galaxy, bro.
So, okay, Nebulous Galaxy was created by Chronos again, and much like a lot of Chronos quests that aren't disabled in drops, it is a must play. It is a spaceship quest. Nebulous Galaxy was basically what Mysteries of the Void was before Mysteries of the Void even came out for spaceship.
There's a lot of
He puts it as it exists because it's a Chronos quest and it's just the setting is bad and Chronos' quests are lazy, but from a pure hunting standpoint on hunting Baranzas and Del Sabers, Nebulous Galaxy is so good that it infuriates me to my core.
You just got to go through so much to get everything in this quest.
Yeah, but
It's
it's
not handed
so
to you,
good.
but it's pretty good.
But it's so good. At least put it in pretty good. It's at least a pretty good.
Yeah. Pioneer Warehouse, that's a lore quest.
That's a lore quest.
Not much to say on that one. Lost
Lost
Chaos
Chaos
Caliber.
Caliber.
This is a full-blown seabed quest. You're gonna be in here for almost an hour. There is
For
a
a
lot to go
while.
through.
But is it good? Is it good for the amount of time you're spending?
If you got
I
a
would
good team,
argue that if you had a good team, it would be pretty good.
it does have Oga Flow though. There is a
It
redeeming
does.
factor in that. Endless Nightmare
Endless
3 though? Ugh.
I think that Ian 3 is good for Mines 1, and that's it.
That means it exists.
For Gill Chicks. For Gill Chicks. And only Gill Chicks.
There's plenty to like in EN3, but there is another quest later on here that does more. It just exists. Try it out if you see if you like it, but chances are you might not.
Sweep Up Operation 3
Sweep Up 3.
is for a Mines quest. I would probably put it as an it exists.
I have it
Mine's is kinda
between
lazy.
pretty good and it exists myself. I would do put it in pretty good though because it doesn't really suffer from a lot of other quests. It's not super dense,
Yeah.
but it's not super hard. It's not super dense. It's not super hard. It is Mines though. Mines is not historically to
Mines is
not
less
be-
played because it pretty much nullifies an entire class.
Monument of Ruin.
This is an it exists quest.
There were some breakthroughs that we found out on GameCube recently, and Hysteria, who made this, essentially created a temple quest that doesn't suck.
By putting it in the jungle. This is he pretty much pioneered this.
This is not a randomized quest. There are set waves. Um, there is the redeeming factor that you're always going to get what you get. Uh,
Yeah.
and it makes Temple enjoyable. It exists.
It actually does. Yeah. It actually does do that.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There is nothing wrong with it.
Phantasmal World 1.
It exists. At least in the current climate.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. I personally think it's pretty good. You can farm lucky coins from this quest pretty easy. We're talking like 10
Yeah.
minutes, and you can get 4 coins with a good party.
But right now,
It's not
it's
super
in it
dense.
exists.
It does require you to split as a result because you can go to both areas from the start. But the main selling point is that you can get more coins from this quest than the other that offer it.
Unlike the first max attack ABC for episode 1 being must play, max attack episode 2 ABCs are it exists.
If you compare this to like Christmas Fiasco 2, Christmas Fiasco 2 is probably still better than some of these.
Yeah.
The seabed section in 4 definitely has a lot to offer, and C having tower is the equivalent of falls in Route C for episode 1. It is a pretty historical group of quests. It just doesn't have as much magnitude as the episode 1 variant, so we're going to put this in pretty good.
What's the next one?
Sweep up 7.
Sweep up 7? I don't know.
It has good
Probably
momentum.
exists.
It has a lot of spiggles. There's a lack of quests that offer that.
But how good are Spiggles?
Not the
How
best.
good are the items that you can get from Spiggles?
Not the best. But it does contain a couple mini bosses, so you do get like a narrowed down CCA experience, so to say.
And it's also much quicker.
Yes.
Because it's a timed quest, it's quicker.
And it uses Jungle North, which is a pretty small area, but it does
True.
pack that area pretty tightly. East Tower, though, this is probably one of the better tower quests because of its introduction in a non-NPC environment.
And you need to go through the entire quest to get the data for Bikini, too. It starts in the central control area right before Gal Griffin. It's a very short central control area section that leads straight into tower. And the tower is actually pretty decent.
It's pretty bare bones, but it's pretty straightforward. Like,
Yeah.
you can easily solo
It's a
this
quick
quest.
experience, too. It's decent. But what about Summer Fiasco 1? How not decent is that quest?
Not decent? Well, it does start in ruins. There's plenty that you can get from that.
It's a backwards quest.
The summer fiascos start in the later areas and then end in the beginning areas. You get the later area drops sooner than some of other quest designs. But
There is some value in that.
yes, I have it as it exists. Similar to Tyrell's Last Hope, there is a bonus Cave 1 area for some reason. Just for the Crimson Assassins. You can get some pretty quick Belras, Bringers, Gunners, and it has a lot of Barans. Don't let that fool you. But the rest of it, it's not worth most of your time. You're better off other options. It is a holiday quest, though. Don't forget that factor. This is played during the summer.
Tentacular Truth. You know, I don't really mind this quest. I also don't particularly like it.
This is a very hard seabed quest.
This doesn't have a boss fight too, does it?
It does have Ogoflow.
It does. Does Ogoflow change any of that though? Because it's kind of hard. No, I'm not gonna say Ogoflow changes that. It is a really hard quest. It's also kind of lengthy. I would say that it exists.
I think it's pretty good, other than the fact that it's pretty difficult. But yeah, for most players, this is not going to be a quest that you play without hazards. Lost Riot Raygun. This quest fixed a lot of Sega's problems. There were almost no spaceship quests when the Sega servers were still around. And this quest changed a lot of that. This is one of the greatest spaceship quests in the game,
Planet
and probably
Earth.
in the entire existence of this game. There's plenty of good waves in here. Very minimal backtracking or puzzles. You're gonna have a good time with this quest. The
And
only
for a
thing
while,
holding it
it was
back is the dropped disables in beta, which
for a
don't
while
hamper
this
much of
was
you.
the only good spaceship quest. This was pretty much the definitively good spaceship quest.
Spaceship isn't hard either, so all you really
Many
need
a,
is as much firepower as possible to clear the place out.
many a gold hunts took place in this quest early, I should say. Phantasmal World number 2.
Phantasmal World 2. Well, this doesn't have as much staying power as some of the other ones, so I am just gonna say this exists. There's not much to it. It's a linear quest.
I would not argue that.
Mountain and CCA. Bunch of Gibbles, bunch of Sinnohs. Malicious
Something
Uprising
fun.
3.
Uh,
This is, for me, a pretty good quest. Similar to Sweep Up 7. This truncates down the area into one area and throws as much as it can at you without being obnoxious. There's some pretty tricky waves because of the mountain's room geometry, but this is a pretty decent quest. Endless Nightmare 4.
this is a pretty good quest at the minimum.
It's a Sega quest too. It has a good
Yeah.
Ruins 1 section, it has a good Ruins 2 section. It's a Sega quest. Just keep that in mind. It holds up a lot because of that. Compared to some other Ruins quests, it does fall short. Mop Up Operation 3. I don't even think you need to tell me anything about this. This is a Drunk Evenings quest.
Uh, Dream Messenger. Sweep Up Operation 4. I would argue that it just exists.
I would say it's pretty good for the reason being it's in Ruins 2. Ruins 2 doesn't have Belras, doesn't have sorcerers.
It has gunners.
It has gunners, it has Del Sabers, and it has bringers. These are
Yep.
pretty popular enemies, and
I
you
will
don't have to
give
suffer
you
through
that
as
one.
much jank in this one compared to some other Ruins quests.
Despite the fact that I think gunners are kind of a bad enemy, and the drops for gunners are not really that great, I will give that one to you.
Photon Lab.
The Photon Lab.
Yo,
This is a lore
This
quest.
is a lore quest. Say no more.
Respect it tomorrow.
This is a must play.
It is the episode 2 version of TTF. It also has a brief tower section too.
This quest
Um,
has some good rewards as well.
It does, yeah. You could get Works Guard from RT
You
at
can
one
farm
point.
scape dolls from RT too. There's some
Yeah.
other quests that you can do for that, but this is a good quest. This is one of Sega's finest.
Yeah.
Foray of the Inferno.
This just came out. It is another pheonixmog quest. This quest is a pretty good for monsters because it is a episode 1 spaceship quest in the battle mode spaceship map. It is pretty fun. Is it a must play for enemies? I would argue probably not. But
Yeah.
it is still pretty good.
It's pretty good. There's not a lot of quests. There's some other quests out there on other servers that use this battle spaceship area. It's going to be a quest you play just because of what it offers you. Lost Shotgunner.
I
I
don't have
I
it.
have it exists. This
I
is
don't have
not your
anything to say
go-to.
about it.
This is not your go-to temple quest. It's a
I'd
lost
rather move
series.
on to the next quest.
Hazardous Dimension. Oh
Hazardous
man,
Dimension is
no
an
discussions with
easel.
that.
Yeah, it's a must play. It is the best Ruins quest with a very generous timer. It has a Falls boss fight at the end, and then a very nice one room Ruins 2 section afterwards. It is a must play, and if you thought it wasn't, then consider the fact that it was nerfed twice on Schthack. That's how good it is.
In Phantasmal World 3, this
Is
quest, it's Sega. I'll give them that much. This is an exists quest. There has been a lot more better seabed quests. Its one redeeming factor, of course, is the lucky coins because of the series itself. It has some unique features. It does take a while to finish, though.
it does.
This next quest, though, is pretty unique. This one, World of Illusion,
Is much like CCC to the challenge factor.
yeah, this is not a quest that you're gonna consistently clear every time you play it. It's it has randomized areas. Like you're
It
never
is an
gonna
it exists quest for the sole purposes of hunting, but it's like CCC in the way that it's a challenge quest.
Sweep Up 5 is a pretty decent temple quest. There's some problems with temple in terms of design, but I will give Sweep Up 5 credit where it's due because this is a pretty good temple quest. And
It's one of the few enjoyable ones.
there's a lot worse out there.
For
And
the Tombsters though,
oh, dude, this is a government quest, but I'm not gonna lie, this one's pretty good.
I'm not
It
going to sugarcoat this. This is one of the few pretty good government quests.
it does take a while to get up to speed in this quest, but at the end of the quest, it has a pretty good room, and it is soloable. Having a soloable ruins area has its benefits.
Having a decent single player ruins quest is nice.
Mag Farm, revisiting darkness is next, and this is a
This
this is a
is
temple quest.
with spaceship.
Yes.
It is actually pretty fun. However, it is really jank. The temple portion is very clunky. So that being
The
said, I will put it as an it exists.
I don't have much to say about revisiting darkness. It's temple.
It's okay for what it is.
Lost
Lost
Heartbreaker
Heartbreaker.
though. This is a pretty good quest, if not for the length itself.
I would not argue that. It's
This
pretty
is
good.
another one of those 1 hour quests. It takes 2 tower maps, and
Yeah.
you basically get no strings attached. Everything it can
Just
throw at you.
just a tower with bunch of dudes and you're shooting a bunch of dudes and you're getting good drops. It's a tower quest. And much like Lost Heartbreaker, Spawn of the Abyss is easily a must-play quest. This is another quest created by Mr. pheonixmog over here. This quest I would deem to be a must-play because it may be long, but it is extremely dense. And the tower section alone would make this quest a must play because of how many enemies it throws at you in that tower section. Yeah, it also has spaceship.
You're gonna tread through a pretty long seabed section in this quest.
That too, yeah.
All three of these areas, there's a lot thrown at you.
Spawn of the Abyss does tower, and then it has spaceship as a bonus section at the end. It's dense. It's a little lengthy, but for the amount of time that you're putting into it, it has really good spawns, and it's worth your time.
Next, we have Oceanic Invasion.
This is pretty good. 2 must play.
Oceanic
in between.
Invasion is from Chronos, first and foremost, so if you're
One of the
familiar with some of the other ones he's done that has a lot of traps and setups.
It's one of the few Chronos quests that I would consider just pretty good.
Survey Corps 6.
This is the seaside one.
Yes.
This is an It Exists quest.
For me, this is an experience too.
It's really fun. Like, all of his series quests are really fun for the first time. And they're also kind of subsequently pretty fun. But is it good for hunting? No.
No, from a consistency standpoint.
Yes.
You could run through this quest, and you could fight Gale Griffin. It's a pretty short quest for that. But
you could also not fight Gal Griffin the next time.
And you could be fighting...
and just get some mini-bosses.
You could be fighting tower enemies.
It's pretty fun, but it's not consistent. Therefore, it exists. And I really hate saying that, because I really like SC6.
SC6 is probably the best one out right now. Mop-Up 4, though... Every time I think about this quest, I can't really find a long-term reason to play it. There's a lot of switch hunting. There's a lot of running. There is a lot that you have to deal with to get to the
all of the
later
mop-up
half.
operations are either just It Exists or Drunk Evenings, or really bad. Like, Mop-Up 1, I just think is terrible. It's just so bad. Mop-Up 2 is okay. Mop-Up 3 is okay. Mop-Up 4 is okay.
Sweep Up 9. This one has competition with Malicious Uprising 5. And there are some moments in 9 where it feels lackluster. You do get a lot of enemies in this area, though, and you do start from the top of the tower and you go down. So it is a decent experience. But this is a It Exists kind of quest. You'll probably play this a lot. But
Simulator 2.
Simulator 2 is...
Do it for the lore. No, it's...
No, that's where I would put it, because this is...
It's interesting. But it's not good.
Think of it as like a Monster Rush quest that throws every piece of jank it can at you. The downfall of Simulator 2.0 is if you die, you get booted out. You can't continue. And you have like 5 areas. You have to go through a lot. It may not be easy, but if something does happen where an item and an enemy drops a rare, and you're trying to walk over it, and you die from something, which is more than likely to happen, this is not that kind of quest. Much like CCC and TTT, this is a lot more oriented towards TA, and there is a historical standpoint, because this is, again, one of the few quests that has the battle spaceship area. So you got to tread real careful in here. Festivity on the Beach, that's a lore quest. It's like a more secluded lobby down at the beach.
Right.
Not much else to that quest. Phantasma World 4, though, this is one of Sega's finest quests. This is a must-play. It is one of Sega's finest quests. It holds your hand a little bit.
I would argue that it's the definitive tower quest.
Oh yeah, there is a lot of Ilgils in here.
And it gives you so many easy times with it. Like, having invincibility a lot of the time in this quest, but it gives you so much stuff. Moving on.
Crazed Sanctuary.
This is a good temple quest. It has a lot of traps in it.
Arguably, this is going to be your must-play or pretty good temple quest. It's pretty packed. Temple's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Having the accessibility to as many monsters as you can is important for this area.
it's probably the best temple quest. It's a
But
Chronos quest.
temple as an area is lackluster because of
It's
design.
too mazy. Yeah, it's too mazy.
That's the one downfall of the temple, and you'll notice that like in our must play section, there's very few
But
areas of the temple.
Cray Sanctuary does a really good job at nullifying that
Yeah,
aspect of temple of it being really mazy. It really doesn't use a lot of the mazy sections.
your gains per minute in Cray's Sanctuary is probably the best ratio for temple. It's pretty good for that reason. Malicious Uprising 1 though,
Not great.
this is definitely not great.
Drunk evenings.
This is let's not even talk about that one. Mysteries of the
Mysteries
Void
of the
though,
Void is a must play.
this is a must play.
This is the highest density spaceship quest ever created in the history of spaceship quests. It has so many enemies, so many unique rooms, so many cool secrets.
and a unique boss fight.
Yeah, and a unique boss fight, and a unique puzzle that leads to a unique vendor. It's so good. There's not much else to say about it.
Yep. Sweep Up 6, that's the spaceship one. Of course, it now has to have some stiff competition in this area. But for me, Sweep Up 6 exists. It's pretty good. You can split up with your party and kind of reduce the amount of time it takes to get through it. But
It's just sweep up quests are just slightly better mop ups,
definitely,
in my opinion. And mop ups aren't great by default. So something better than just not great is just pretty okay.
Raid on Central
ROCT.
Tower, ROCT, one of the
Better
craziest tower quests out there.
It's pretty chaotic. Is it good? It's pretty good. For monster density. It's kind of difficult.
It does have
this is an
overflow
Ultima
too.
quest. This is an Ultima quest.
This is
It
not
exists.
an easy quest. Similar
It
to Den
does
of the
just
Damned,
exist.
you're gonna be in here for a while. You gotta be
There
prepared
are a lot
for
of
this.
quests on this list that are just it exists. A lot of quests just.
Villainous Rift 2. This
It
is
is slightly
one of,
better than 1.
This is better than 1 for sure. There are lucky coins as a reward from this. A major perk for the spaceship area. Villainous Rift 2 does have to compete with Malicious Uprising 2. But Villainous Rift offers more enemies in a longer quest with the addition of coins. As a result, it's a pretty good spaceship quest. It's not crazy.
It holds its own.
But it does, like Varista said, functions very well. There's not really much to complain about with this quest.
It can hold up pretty good on its own, for sure.
Lost Soul Blade. It's a Sega quest, but
I don't
for
play
mines,
it very often, but it's all right.
it has Velopt.
Yeah.
It's probably one of its redeeming factors on top of all of the Sinnohs that you get. In Mines 1, you can get to a pretty heavy amount of Sinnoh kills in just the first area here.
You can get some pretty wacky Sinnoh drops.
There's plenty of good things you can get in Soul Blade's mines as a result of those Sinnohs. And there's plenty of Barans towards the end, but
yeah,
it is a Sega quest too. It holds up, but it may not be the most definitive mines quest out there.
No, that goes to a different quest that we don't even have.
Rappy's Holiday. This is a combination shop quest and lore quest. There's not much to say about that one. You can play some cool games in it, but Survey Corps 5 is
the most played Survey Corps.
It's randomized tower waves.
It exists.
Through no fault of randomization, Survey Corps 5 exists. You're never gonna have a similar experience.
You're
as
never
some
going
of
to have a
us.
consistent experience.
It's gonna throw the book at you on here. This is
And
not
like
an easy quest.
I say this every time we bring up a Hysteria quest. It is a really good first play experience. It is a really fun replayability experience, but it's just not consistent. You can't play it.
Malicious Uprising 4. One of the seabed quests. Arguably, though, it exists. There's a lot of
Not
squids.
much else to say.
There's a lot
Not
of
much else to
squids.
say
Not
about it.
much else to say, just like he said.
Okay, for this next one, are we basing this on old MSB where you could just get into Temple Bit immediately?
Yes.
Then it's a must play. Strictly for experience. And it has two gold dragon fights. It has double gold dragon fights. It's basically 25 minutes of straight killing enemies in Temple in 2 rooms and then 2 gold dragon fights.
MSB is one of the most overplayed quests in existence. It defined temple drops for
It
a long
also
time.
defined what we would consider nowadays to be just a spam quest. Just a lazy 1 or 2 room spam quest.
You
You
can
know.
you can sit in this quest for like 10 minutes and probably get like 100k experience in ultimate. It's not
Yeah.
going to take you very long to get through everything in temple, and that's just the first area. This
Yeah.
quest does end up leading to tower and Ogaflow as well, but it's overshadowed by the early part of the quest, and
Yeah.
this is a time capsule. If you play this quest,
There are lots of old references
you're
in
going to
this
be stepping
quest.
back like 15 years into the past for sure.
Yeah. It's definitely old.
It's an iconic quest. Max Attack 2,
Version 2.
it
Oh
suffers
boy.
the same issues as MA1, but the problem is that you have to go a long way to get to the later areas. As a result,
Yeah.
you're not really gonna do much outside of temple. So I would say that
Drunk evenings.
drunk evenings,
Yeah,
it
because
floats between this.
it's not a good temple quest, and that's pretty much all you're gonna do.
This is one of the few quests Sega made that actually includes temple and spaceship. And other than that,
But
as
it's
its redeeming
bad.
factor, you've got better options nowadays. This is not a quest that you want to
In the
play.
current climate, you would never play this.
It's required for Beach Laughter's photon spheres, but other than that, it's not
Yeah.
good. To top off the end of the list, we have Endless Nightmare 1.
Oh,
This
this is a drunk evening
this
quest.
quest started it all, really. It's forest with very little threats and hunting potential. You get much more out of like Lost Heat Sword, and that covers pretty much every quest you can play at the time on Schthack. As a result, if you take a look at like the quest backdrops, we can see how like a lot of must-play quests are either like things that include ruins, spaceship, central control area, tower, kind of like the definitive quests for those specific areas.
And have like Ubers too. Good to get Uber drops.
Yeah. And then
You
Pretty
know,
Good fleshes it out either with options or
or specific hunts.
there's plenty of quests out there besides the Pretty Good and the must plays
And
that
this is
are
just
worth
on our
playing.
server too. So if you're on another server and you're playing other quests that we don't have on here, don't think that we're saying that this is the like all that you have, because this is just our server. Really quickly, I do want to ask you actually, given the current climate, when Abysmal Ball comes out, do you think where would you place it on this list?
I'd probably stick that in Pretty Good because it's going to be a Ogaflow quest. You can get to Ogaflow pretty fast in there. So
All
because
right.
of the hunting potential for Ogaflow, it's going to have a lot of value. This is pretty much our experiences with quests on GameCube. Your mileage may vary differently. You're welcome to
You're welcome to create
discuss.
your own list. We'll have the link for you to be able to create your own list using this exact template in the description box.
This project we thought about doing for a while, and there's a lot of value in showcasing our community. Definitely wanted to be able to do this so that other people can see what's going on.
We work really hard to fix a lot of the mistakes that have happened in the past with this place. And although I know a lot of people still judge us on past mistakes, but we've moved past that. And a lot of the people that were responsible for that, they're not around now. And we're doing our best to fix those mistakes and make this place way better than it used to be. We would really appreciate it if you would at least stop by and check things out. We have some amazing GameCube developers like pheonixmog and Kayak work really hard. You know, they work their asses off to make this place great. And this list is us just talking to you about what we think are the greatest quests in our current climate. But things obviously can change. You know, it's not always just a lifelong sort of commitment with this list. So we appreciate looking at it and talking about it and creating your own list. Especially if you play on our server and you're interested in joining the conversation.
And different quests will have different value for different player backgrounds. I personally valued quests that are much more dense or long, so those quests offer much more out of the time spent. Some people may end up liking the shorter quests like the mop-ups or the endless nightmares simply because it's a lot more homogenized. If that's you, good for you. Tell us about it. Let us know what you think.
Please join the conversation if you want to. Please talk to us about what you think. We really like it. We really like open discussion.
And it's been good making this. We'll catch you guys around, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.